Hello, everyone. Thank you. You're right there. Perfect. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me today. So yes, my name's Mark. I am the Invasive Species Officer for the Tay catchment, which you're all in today, so welcome. Didn't take me far to get here this morning, which was really nice. I'm going to speak about the Scottish Invasive Species Initiative and the work we do on a landscape scale to work in partnership with a variety of different stakeholders to deliver invasive non-native species control. So, what is the Scottish Invasive Species Initiative? Some of you may be aware, some of the partners of this project are in the room, so you can just tune out for this minute. But for those of you that don't know, we are in our 8th year currently, so we started back in 2018, and we've gone through 2 phases so far, so we're on our 2nd phase currently. We work on a landscape scale to establish landscape strategy control for invasive non-native species by working with a mosaic of different partners across that catchment area. As you can see, we cover a very large proportion of Scotland, roughly about 1/3, give or take an area the size of Wales, maybe a little bit more. So, you know, a good chunk, but we feel like there is more room to grow in the future. But for now, that is where we work. The reason we work at such a large scale is to make big impacts. You need to work at a large scale, you need to work collaboratively, you need to work in whole systems to bring about that change and improvement, and that is what we look to do. We believe we are the largest non-native species control project in the British Isles. We're still relatively confident on that, but maybe that will change in the future. Hopefully, we'd like to see more projects like this coming about. Our partners and funders, we'll speak a little bit more about the partners in this room in a minute, but our funders, where all the delicious money comes from, initially was the National Lottery Heritage Fund back in 2018 through to 2022, and then we were lucky enough to be able to transition over to the Nature Restoration Fund, which is obviously the big scheme delivered by Scottish Government to help restore nature and reach or move towards some biodiversity targets for 2030. So we are the largest project funded through that scheme, which we are extremely proud of and extremely grateful to Scottish Government for backing us and backing the work that we do. We really viewed this next stage as a real sort of affirmation of what we're trying to achieve, and we appreciate that the Scottish Government sees that vision. It's not the be-all and end-all, but we have won some nice awards, which is always helpful, helps bring a little bit of credibility to what we're trying to do. We think it's a way of sort of making sure that the staff realise that they're working towards something that's being recognised more broadly as well. SISI is holding out on us. As you see, they keep giving us disgusting, highly commended, but we will break them in the end. Just you wait. But yes, so what does the project do? We have 3 prongs. We operate a strategic landscape scale mink trapping project. We do a strategic landscape scale invasive plant control project, and then we do education and awareness, which is obviously part of why I'm here today. Our target species, we're a bit different insofar as we do a mammal and then some plants on top. More often than not, it will be either or. We do both, so we do American mink, a variety of knotweeds, American skunk cabbage, giant hogweed, and Himalayan balsam. These are ones where when we were initially assessing where was the greatest amount of impact for the amount of money that we'd have available, these were the species that we identified where actually real tangible improvements could be made over a number of years very, very quickly and with a lasting impact as well. And hopefully with eradication somewhere at the end there. So how is this work delivered? This is where the partners come in, because SISI is a logo, a website, and a couple of me without a home. We don't have any infrastructure. We don't have any sort of on-the-ground presence. And up until 2018, we didn't exist. So this is where 11 beautiful partners get involved, where they actually are the known entity on the ground. They host and employ project officers, invasive species officers such as myself, and they are that established entity that we then work through. Because obviously if someone comes to you and says, well, I'm from SISI and we were made 5 minutes ago, people will look at you and say, well, what does that mean? Whereas if you're coming as part of the Fishery Board, which is an established entity that people understand, that is a very, very useful way to engage with people and begin those conversations. They obviously, those local connections, that visibility, absolutely vital, but The partners also, with their own staff, will provide local support with control. In many cases, that's mink, that's plant. Sometimes a partner hasn't taken on a version of me and they have allocated staff time instead from existing staff complement, which is absolutely fantastic too. So you'll often have staff where maybe they have a hybrid role where they do their fishery board duties. And then their time is split through receiving funding from SISI to do invasive species work as well. They are also the partners are counter-signatories to our landowner control agreements, which I'll touch on in a minute. This is a really, really crucial bit. So who do we work with? We have a very wide base of people that we look to work with because ultimately there's a very wide range of people you need to work with in a catchment because there's all sorts of different interests, economic activities, landowners, land managers that you have to try and reconcile and move in generally the same direction together to achieve something. And obviously you have people such as myself, we're the on-the-ground staff, we're doing the control, we're managing it, we're overseeing it, we're coordinating it, we're engaging with stakeholders, but there's just 8 of us. When we started, there were 3. For a third of Scotland, it wouldn't work without bringing on other people. So that is where, obviously, we do have a small contractor budget, but our primary emphasis is in giving people the skills and the support and the advice to go out and do this work in collaboration with us. So we train volunteers who are looking to get certification to do this work. We also have casual, untrained volunteers that come out with us for plant control and also mink control. And then obviously our big emphasis is working with landowners, managers and their staff. So this can be anyone from SWT, which I work with regularly, say at Loch of the Lows, all the way through to large estates throughout our project area. Plant control can have any combination of these partners in a catchment, and it's going to be a diverse group of people that you're bringing together. But it's really, really key that you do bring those diverse groups of people together. And it's the same with our mink network. Again, these are gamekeepers and gillies are the easy ones, but we have dog walkers, people who have the burn running through their back garden, maybe, all the way through to, again, organisations like the RSP and SWT working with us. And before we give the gamekeepers and gillies too much credit, I'd like to point out that one of my best mink trappers is a yoga teacher. So it takes all sorts. So it's really, really positive bringing all these people together and doing this work. Our definition of a volunteer, therefore, is very, very broad. We view anyone who is working with the project as a volunteer because there is no legislation obligating you to do this work. So we are essentially the carrot. We say, work with us. We will provide you with the resources, the knowledge, the expertise, and the support to do this work. And if you work with us, you will see improvement. And that is why we try to engage with such a wide variety of people and get buy-in from such a wide variety of people, because then everyone sees what's happening around them. And you do occasionally get those holdouts, but we often find that if everyone around them is doing the work, suddenly they become much more interested in doing the work too. All are supported and held accountable through invasive species officers such as myself, because through me, they know that the work around them is happening. They also know that if they have problems, questions, they need support, they need help, advice, or help on the ground, I am there to help them, just like my colleagues are elsewhere in the catchment. It works because they have someone who they know, who they trust, who they've built a relationship with, they've then seen improvement over the years, and they know that this work is being done properly, this work is being done strategically, and we are going to get there together. Just quickly, the sort of support we provide, this is not an exhaustive list, but for the mink side of things, we provide trapping equipment and training, we provide dispatch support for mink when they are caught, and we are operating new technologies such as remote alert systems, which are text notification systems, which give us immediate notifications when animals do end up in traps. We administer all that, we ensure that it's all being run properly, and so that the people trapping don't have to, and they can just worry about doing the job on the ground. On the plant side of things, we provide a whole suite of support in terms of training, equipment, expert advice on the ground, on-site support, and then we also target staff and contractor deployment where problems are particularly bad. So you are not going to be on your own. We are going to help you every step of the way, and we are here for the long term is the message that we are giving across. That is what we are committed to, and that is what is working and bringing all these people on board to work with us. Now, we'll quickly just look at outcomes. What is happening due to all this work? Because obviously, We want to see some positive impacts. What this means is on a catchment scale, we're actually able to strategically start to work, say in plants here, from source to sea. We are able to identify the problem and work strategically downstream to the sea. Now, we are not at the sea in many cases, but we are on our way, and you have to start at the top. What has happened in a lot of invasive non-native species problems in the projects in the past is money has been poured into the lower catchment without dealing with the source and upstream problem areas. So what happens is you spend 100,000, 300,000, £1 million. Plants die when you spray them with chemical. We know that, but if you've not dealt with the seed sources upstream, you run out of money, you go away, and then guess what? They come back after 3-4 years. It's not rocket science. So we are doing it differently. We are getting that buy-in from everyone, and we're working strategically from the problem downstream and eradicating as we go. And that takes, in some cases, 10, 15 years of commitment to a site, but that's what we're here to do. The buy-in in terms of what we are getting from all those volunteers, like I say, all those stakeholders that we work with, is significant. We have equivalent over the last 8 years, essentially had 18 staff years of contribution, which is massive. When you think there are only 8 of us on the ground, that's an extra 2 staff a year just from what people are giving working with us. We're really, really proud of this. This is what it's all about. Me wandering around the Tay catchment by myself achieves nothing. It is only through bringing all these people on board and working together that this happens. On the mink side of things, what does this mean? I can't run it. We have about 120 traps out in Tayside. I can't run them all. I can't possibly check them all. That is why we have to work with people. We have over 400 traps out over the project area and an additional 200 monitoring rafts. That is predominantly done by volunteers working with us, taking our equipment and training and collaborating with us to get this coverage and this corresponding captures. Again, huge outcomes here. We're looking at 88 staff years equivalent over the last 8 years, which is absolutely massive. You know, that's 8 staff members a year, more or less, extra. And that, you know, you just can't do that otherwise, you know. So this is the sort of stuff, these are the outcomes that we really want, these are the outcomes that we are seeing, and these are the really positive impacts then for the environment because we're all working together to improve things. Just finishing off quickly, for invasive species control programs, we have to look at sustainability in the long run. As part of this, you have to get buy-in from landowners and managers to commit to land. There is no legislative requirement for a landowner to do this work. However, what we say is, look, we are here to support you. In return, we need a commitment, a written signed commitment that you will be committing to dealing with this problem on your land. And that is what we have started doing for invasive plants, because I can't monitor and control a site forever. Once a site improves to a certain point, I need to be able to hand that back to the person ultimately responsible for that land so I can continue downstream. This is no longer a theory. We have 50 such agreements signed. These are the first ever to really be done in the sector. We've got 50 signed. We've got 30 plus more under negotiation currently, shall we say, and that is going to begin to a continual focus as the project goes forward, because it allows us to do that source to sea. We can then move further downstream, add on new sites, bring new stakeholders on board, and engage more people. My final slide, now usually it's the project manager giving this presentation, so this slide is relatively shameless because it's me saying how important I am, but I'm going to do it anyway. It is absolutely vital to have dedicated on-the-ground staff to tie all this together. This doesn't happen if you don't build relationships, if you don't have people holding everyone to account, keeping people honest, providing support, and also monitoring progress, documenting progress, ensuring that things aren't missed. These are all vital things that only happen if you have people doing the work. So, what I would say, if anyone is interested in doing invasive non-native species control, do make sure you provide the resources for staffing who can then go out and provide this support to your partners, to your stakeholders, because it is absolutely vital. It's people at the end of the day. We all work in the environmental sector, but it is people that make these things happen, and we only do that by working together. So if I can emphasize one thing, it would be please give people the opportunity to go out and do that work. That's our website, that's our main email, that's me if you want to talk to me for any reason. Thank you for listening.